Yo, this one is a bit different than what I normally do. But this one will be, what if Deku was Mineta's older brother? I don't know Mineta's parents' name, and I don't feel like researching it. I'm just doing this as a little joke. But if this turns out to be a main series, then it is what it is. But yeah, so Deku is Mineta's older brother. I'm just gonna say that Inko and Hisashi were parents, because why the frick not? Alright, now Deku's quirk, alright, he is able to secrete this sticky substance and is stronger than spider webs out of his hands and feet, as well as Deku has a weird sense of smell, as Hisashi's not actually his full father, as he has a secret hidden quirk. Now, only, y'all that want to know, alright, spoilers, skip ahead for like 30-40 seconds. But if you want to hear this secret quirk, stay here. So, his secret quirk, y'all already know what I'm finna do. Telekinesis, because why the frick not? And he also has heightened senses, because his father had three quirks. His father had telekinesis, a heightened sense, and he also had a minor enhancement quirk. So yeah, Deku and Mineta, they would still have, their likings to women. I will change Mineta's last name to Midoriya, because I don't know Mineta's last name, and I don't feel like researching it, like I said before. So yeah, we start this video off with we start off with a baby boy named Izuku Midoriya, as he is being born in the hospital of Tokyo, as his mother was traveling, as she wanted to go visit his, real father. As Hisashi found out, he didn't really care, because they was apart at that time, as Hisashi didn't really mind, as she was going to go, tell his real father that she was about to have birth, as she started to have contractions, as she then went to the hospital, calling him, saying she's going to frickin' Wabadoku Hospital in Tokyo, as he says, okay, meet you there, as she explains that she's pregnant and everything. As she gets there, as the people come, as they're like, she's having contractions, get her to her room now, as they come out with that little stretcher thing and pull her to a room, as Kenshi, or Deku's father, arrives there. No, not Kenshi from Mortal Kombat. What I will be doing with a Deku, or but I will be doing what if Naruto was to Kido one day. But anyways, Kenshi would arrive there, as he says, Inko, I came here as fast as I could. She's like, perfect. As the doctor says, the baby's coming out. I see the head. Push, ma'am. As Inko pushes, as out comes baby Izuku. And they cut the cord and all that good stuff. Izuku gets washed up and taken to the little place where they sanitize the babies or whatever. As when he's ready to come, they take him to Inko, as Inko's like, oh, my sweet little baby, as he has a little speck of purple hair in the center of his head with a white tip. And she's like, my precious little son. As oh yeah, Deku also has a bit of his Sashi's quirk, cause when Deku was like still a fetus, he wasn't fully formed. So yeah, some of his Sashi's DNA, merged with Deku. So yeah, he has a tiny bit of his Sashi's quirk, not that much, a tiny bit. And Deku's quirk, I'm gonna just name it still steel silk, as he can shoot it out or just cover his hands with it, and the sticky stuff that he secretes out of his hand is stronger than any other substance. It can be broken, but it's pretty tough. So yeah, they call it steel silk. But it's not gonna get into it now. The drip though, let's talk about that drip, but not now, okay? But yeah. Anyways, as Inko goes home with baby Izuku, as she cuts the cords with Kenshi, as Kenshi, as she, for a few months or years before Deku, could remember, she gave Deku to Kenshi to watch him as she rehabilitates or whatever, as Kenshi would actually not treat Deku, making him not eat for a day at a time, and not changing his diapers for weeks, as Inko had enough, as she cut the cords and cut the ties with Kenshi, as Izuku moved in with Hasashi, his newfound father. As 2 years later, as 3 years later, Deku is now 5. Baby Mineta Midoriya is now born. As Mineta, he ain't short, okay? He be looking like this. No, not this. Where is it? No, not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one. Dang it, I can't find it. He looks like this, alright? Just less like this. More like himself, just a lot less goofy looking, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. So as Sasashi and Inko come home as Mineta, he has a weird quirk. It is a mutation where his hair, as when he touches his hair, they form into these sticky balls, as he can throw them. And make them stick, as the only thing that cannot be stuck to them is, of course, him and his brother that has a stronger version of his quirk, I guess you could say. As when Deku sees his little brother in his mother's hands, as it has been a week since he last seen his mother, as he has been with the babysitter, as when he sees his little brother, he asks his mother to hold him, and she says, sure, as Deku takes him and walks off to his room, as he has young Mineta in his arms, as he is cradling him, as he starts singing to his little brother, as he started to cry, as when he starts to sing, Mineta goes to sleep, as Izuku's voice is calming, soothing, as when you hear it, it makes you feel like you're in a bottomless pit of love, and all you can feel is just the emotions in the air from his voice, as he sounds like an angel, as Deku is now on his bed laying down with young Mineta, as they're both laying down together, as Inko walks in, since it's been a while since she's seen Deku, as she's seen them both sleeping, Deku cradling young Mineta in his arms, as Oyayue will be at college. When Mineta's 15, Deku will be 20, so everybody in the canon will be in UA college. So yeah, that'll be cool. And I will let Mineta come in there during second year. I don't know. Maybe first year, because his grades are so good. I don't know. Who knows? So yeah. So as she sees him, as she says, I'll be taking him, as he picks up Mineta, as Deku starts to wake up, as she quickly replaces him with a teddy bear. As Deku holds the teddy bear, as she takes Mineta and gives him some milk. As we have a 4-year time skip, as Deku is now 9 and Mineta is 4. as Mineta looks up to his brother as an icon, as a role model, as Deku treats his brother like he is a rare jewel, a diamond, as Deku still cherishes All Might, as All Might is still his favorite hero, as like I said, Deku and Mineta would share their likings towards women, as one day we have Deku and Mineta at the park, as we see Mineta being bullied by these boys. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about Deku. Well, I already told you about his quirk. So yeah, as Mineta is being bullied by these boys, and the one that is bullying him name is Zachary. Zachary Ayomi, as his quirk is Carbon Fire, as is basically not Carbon Fire, Borax Flames, as his flames are green, as he's letting off little flames in his hands, throwing them at Mineta, as when Deku sees this, he uses his quirk for the first time, as he's never been able to use it, as something clicks at him, and he uses his quirk, making this sticky, elastic substance in his hand. He tracked and grabbed Mineta, pulling Mineta towards him, as Deku lets him go, as Mineta has the same quirk, so it's not that affecting on him, as they're like, "What are you here to do? Save your little brother?" As Deku says, "Actually, I am." As Deku picks up Mineta and blitzes, because he don't feel like fighting little brats. As he gets home, as he tells his mother everything, and she's like, "Honey, you were probably able to use your quirk. What happened?" As Deku says, "Well, when I see Mineta getting bullied, this sticky stuff came all over my hands, and I just thought about pulling him in." As I flicked my hand, and this this web came out and grabbed him and pulled him towards me. And she's like, "Steel webs, but he said sticky first, so maybe he can manipulate that stuff into what he wants." And she's like, "Huh." And she's like, "Any other powers?" And he's like, "No, not that I know of yet." And she's like, "Alright, maybe he didn't awaken his telekinesis powers, or his he might not have the firepower, he might do, who knows." She tells the Deku that he and Mineta are going to be training. As Deku and Mineta are like, "For real? We're going to be training?" As Mineta's like, maybe I could finally be like big brother. As Inko, she's pretty sad, off that child support money from Kenji. So, she pretty sad, as she orders them a tutor that has a similar quirk to them, as she will also get them a taijutsu master, as he's from the Shiroryu clan. Look, don't freaking judge me. Oh, okay, I just wanted to use that name. He's from the Shiroryu, as he is a taijutsu specialist, as he teaches Deku and Mineta taijutsu. He goes harder on Deku than he does Mineta, but you're the oldest, you're supposed to protect the youngest. So yeah, as Deku, at the age of 8, no, he's 9, so at the age of 12, unlocked another quirk. As how he unlocked this quirk is his teacher, Bihan. I'm gonna just say, yeah, I'm still not that name, but no. Alright, this has nothing to do with anything. I just wanted to use the clan's name. Alright, so yeah. Bihan, he went a little out as he was having a bad day, as his mother was killed by a villain, as he's pretty angry, as he unconsciously was taking out his anger on Deku as he cornered Deku with his sword. As he goes down the swing, as this is when it is stopped by unknown force, as there's no webs or anything, as Inko, she went to go get some tea. As she's coming back, as she sees this, she's like, "Son, what's going on?" As he's like, I'm sorry, my mother was killed. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be training or teaching anybody today." And she's like, "Oh wow, I'm guessing my son unlocked his telekinesis quirk." And she's like, "Well, I guess I'm going to have to explain to him how Sashi's not his real father." Oh, this would be hard. As they arrive home 3 hours later with some freaking samurai milkshakes. You know the green ones, the shamrock you be getting from McDonald's during like spring and stuff. Yeah, those. As she gets back home, as Deku and Mineta both have some milkshakes. As like I said, Mineta is 8. No, yeah, 8, and Deku is 12. I'm not good at math, so don't judge me, and I might mix up their age or whatever. So yeah, Deku, he tells Inko, they walk in as she tells her Sashi what happens, and she's like, "Oh crap, guess we got to explain this to him." As Inko sits Deku down without Mineta, as she don't want him to notice, as she don't want him to feel sad or feel in a different way towards his elder brother Izuku. As they sit down and they talk, as Inko says, "Son, you might be too young to understand this right now, but your father, we're here to talk about your father." As he's like, "My father, he's right here, what do you mean?" As he's like, as Inko then says, "No, he's not the father." "He's not your father." As he's like, "What do you mean, mommy?" As Inko's like, "Your real father, his name is Kenshi, as he has 3 quirks, as you probably have some of his quirks." And she's like, "So is the sticky quirk not mine? It's his too?" And she's like, "No, the sticky quirk is mine, dumb butt, numb nuts." As he's like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "How you stopped the sword, that was one of his quirks." As he also has enhanced senses and an enhancement quirk, so meaning super strength and super senses, basically. As Deck is like, "I could be more like All Might." And she's like, "That's all you think about, being like All Might, All Might." And Deck is like, as she's like, why do you cherish him so much, huh? That's all you think about, spending thousands of my money on all my figurines that don't even pay the bills or anything. Like, what's the purpose?" As Deku says, "Because no matter what happens, he always has a smile. Even in the toughest times, he wears a smile on his face. As I want to be a hero like that, who can save everybody with a smile on my face." As Inko says, "Wow, son, As Deku says, "Well, can I go back to play with brother?" And she's like, "Sure." As Sashi's shocked on how well he took it. As in the inside of his head, Deku just feels like freaking hitting his head against the wall. Like, why would they hide this from me? They should have told me earlier. It's not like I'm going to be mad at them, but yeesh, they shouldn't have hidden something so important like this." And she's like, "Forget it. They probably had their reasons." As we skip to the last day of middle school for Deku, a 15-year-old Deku and a 10-year-old Mineta. So yeah. Cause you're 5 or 4 years apart. So yeah, 14-year-old Deku and 15. 15-year-old Deku and a 10-year-old Mineta. So Deku, he is, in school as everybody like the girls like him because my guy is built like a Greek god. Like, look at him, look at these proportions. Like, come on, bro. Like, you telling me you wouldn't like that? Like, come on. Oh, sorry, I got off track for a bit. But like, you telling me you wouldn't like that? Like, yeesh. No homo or any of that, but like, come on. As the girls like him, and Katsumi, she's a bit jealous as she has always been friends with Deku since they were younger. As she's a bit jealous that all the girls like Deku, and she's a bit overprotective towards Deku, as she has that sister girlfriend vibe. Like she's cool if you ain't flirting with him or any of that stuff. So yeah, as one day we skip to, like I said, the last day of school, as Deku is getting all these love letters, as he just burns them all, as Deku isn't really interested in none of these girls. As Deku goes up to the roof, as he says, I'm gonna be home a bit late today. As the sledge villain happens when Deku leaves the roof, but yeah, as Deku's there with his headphones on, sitting on the ledge, as he has his eyes closed, just listening to music, some XXX Tentacion, you feel me? As somebody walks through the door, as they close it behind them, as they walk up towards Deku and call his name, as he says, huh? Oh hey, Katsumi, what's up? She has her hands behind her back, wearing her little freaking dress or whatever you imagine a girl version of a yonder haughty, cute version of female version of Bakugo would wear. Yeah, she's wearing that, and she got her hands behind her back with a slight blush. My girl got a little crush, a little crushy crush, as she says, as Deku says, what is it? You got an itch? You need me to scratch your head? And she's like, oh no, as she pulls out an envelope, hands it to Deku, and runs off. Classic, but as Deku sees it, he opens it, he's like, as it tells him she likes him, all that stuff, as Deku's like, wow, my own best friend likes me. I always did find her a bit attractive, but I never knew she actually liked me. I never really liked anybody. I guess I should acknowledge her since he's my best friend, I guess, help her out. And if I end up catching feelings, I catch feelings. As Deku's that kind of person, just goes with it for the fun, the entertainment. If it don't works out, it don't works out. If something develops in the process, it develops in the process, But he's still, a massive fanboy. As Deku, he's walking to her house as he takes a shortcut under a bridge, to tell her, yeah, he'll take her up on that, pizza and movie, As Deku, he's walking under the bridge, texting his mother saying he's gonna be at Katsuki's house for a few hours, maybe even stay the night, as it might be getting dark, as she says, okay, as Deku is not paying attention to his surroundings, as the sludge villain comes up and says, hey kid, you're pretty hot, let me have your bod. That sounds weird, but Deku's like, what the frick? As he tries to wrap him up in his webs, as it's not working, as the sludge villain just comes out of it as he starts to suffocate Deku. As the same interaction between All Might and the sludge villain happens, as Deku does the same thing as... Now Deku, he's not that good with his telekinesis as he rarely uses it, because he despises that part of him, as he found out that his father used to abuse him when he was a baby, as he don't want to use his father's telekinesis. As after All Might signs Deku's book, Deku asks All Might, he says, All Might, do you think I could be a hero with a weak quirk like this? As almost like, what is your quirk, young man? As Deku says, iron silk. As almost like, that sounds impressive, could you show it to me? As Deku says, well, I secrete this sticky liquid as I can manipulate it to my will, and it's stronger than iron. It's stronger than steel, I should say. As almost like, in his hand, possibly a new successor. As almost like, yeah, sure. As he's like, you could be a great hero, you can be a great cop. It's all up to you, kid. All up to you. Sorry for the voice cracks. I don't know why. It's just been happening lately. But anyways, if you can hear it, because who knows. I just might be sounding crazy. But yeah. So, Deku continues to walk to Katsumi's house as the sludge villain doesn't escape. So yeah, he continues to walk as you know, Mitsuki, she's not really a big fan of Deku since his, you know, personality is kind of perverted, you know, so she's not a big fan. As Deku, you know, climbs up to her window using the sticky stuff on his hands to climb up like Spider-Man and knock on Katsuki's window. Now we skip to Katsuki's point of view, as once she got home a bit flustered as she says, hey mom, puts her backpack down and runs up to her room. She like, boy maybe? As she just continues to clean up or play charades or whatever. As Katsuki gets in her room and closes the door, as for the next, I'd say, hour or two until Deku arrives, she's just been there looking at her pictures of her and Deku over the years. As a few hours later, she hears a knock at her window. As she gets up and crawls on her bed to the side where the window is, as she sees him, as she's like, huh, as he says, let me in. As she opens the door, as the window, as Deku comes in, as he says, I'll take you up on some pizza and a movie maybe. As she's like, oh, okay. As Deku's like, well, I don't know if your mother would like me just coming down the stairs like this, so I'm just going through the front door. And she's like, alright, sure. And she's like, why didn't you just come in through the front door? I wanted to tell you that first. I felt like that was more important. As he winks at her and leaves through the window, jumping down and using his sticky sludge stuff to stick to the wall before he hits the ground, so he don't hurt himself. As he, you know, tossed off his shoes, you know, to get no dirt, as he knocks. As Mitsuki says hello, as she opens the door, as she sees him, and she's like, Oh, Izuku, as he's like, no need to make that face, man. I have changed my ways. I am more mature now. I'm sorry. I am more mature now, as I know I was a bit weird, but I changed. And it's been a few months since she last seen him, and she's like, well, you seem a lot more mature, Izuku. You want to come in? As Deku's like, yeah, sure. As Katsuki come, as you know, Mitsuki, yells, Katsuki, Izuku's here. As Katsuki comes down, she's like, oh, hey, acting like they just have a whole 10-minute conversation in a room. But she's like, oh, hey, Izuku, what are you doing here? As Deku hands her a note in front of her mom. It's basically like a double agreement. Like he tells her in front of her face, and then he tells her in front of her mother's face. So, it's a bit crazy as he hands her the note and says sure. And she's like, dude, in front of my mom. And she's like, what? There shouldn't be a problem. As Mitsuki's like, oh, so that's why you ran home all flustered today. And she's like, well, Izuku, do you want some pasta maybe? As Deku's like, sure, pasta's my favorite. As they eat, laugh, play around, joke. As Deku's like, it's getting late, I should probably get home. As Mitsuki's like, are you sure? There's a lot of crooks and stuff out there, and I don't want you to take this subways by yourself. If you want, you could stay here with us. As Deku's like, you know what, sure. Where do you want me to sleep? And she's like, well, we're getting a new couch, and I don't want you to sleep on the floor. You could take Katsuki's upper bunk, as Deku says, sure. She has two beds. She has a bunk bed for when her cousins were there, and she has her own bed that's next to the window. As Deku says sure, as he gets in the top bunk of her cousin's bunk bed. As the bottom bunk just has junk in it, as Deku says, well, Katsuki, had a fun day. Good night. As that's where I'm going to end this video off. Peace. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share this video if you want to. I'm not telling you to, just do it if you want to. Like I said, peace.